Hi, this is a Technology Ridecast. I'm Marc Farley, and our special guest this afternoon is Marc Pastor. How are you doing, Marc?
I'm doing fabulous, Mark.
I just saw you speak at the SNIA Storage Developers Conference, and you were talking about the Active Archive Alliance.
Absolutely. I was representing the Active Archive Alliance to talk about archiving and all the considerations that need to go into a well thought out archive infrastructure.
So what are some of the reasons why people are looking at archiving now?
I am seeing so many more people today coming out saying that we cannot afford to keep doing what we're doing to store all of the data that we're being asked to store now. The data's gotten a lot richer, higher resolution, more sensors being integrated in everybody's workflow.
Yeah, so one of the things I really liked about your presentation is how you sort of made a division between workflow data and archive data. So where do you separate them?
People absolutely need the performance characteristics of the storage that they're buying today to do their work on. And so let's call that primary storage or workflow storage. But when we use the word archive, a lot of people associate that with some old and cold storage technology, things like that. And that's why the session was about active archive. Because people need to be able to retain their data, they need to retain access to the data, but they can't keep scaling up their primary storage to do that because that's just too cost prohibitive to do that.
So what are some of the industries that you're seeing that are really moving into active archive technology?
Well, it's a great question, and I will tell you I see this in every industry. In autonomous car vehicle development or automotive development, we see financial, securities, trading companies needing to store data both for compliance reasons, but they also want to do analytics on the data. We see legal firms storing case data, a lot of local and city government. It's everywhere.
So it's kind of like these massive data sets may be part of a project or part of an initiative, and it ages over time, and you still want this bundle of stuff to belong together and be accessible, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And with a lot of the data now, like I mentioned, there's sensor-generated data, machine-generated data, which is in addition to the historical human-generated data. They want to keep it accessible. How do they do that?
One of the other things that you talked about that was really interesting to me is you talked about the ingestion of data, and it's normally assumed that data that is ingested is at the lowest latency tier first, but you said that's not always the case, that sometimes data comes in and it's in sort of a dormant state until it gets used.
The security trading example I used, they're gathering a full day's worth of data, and now they need to move it into their workflow. And a lot of times that data will come right into the archive, but there's so much of it has to be a high performance ingest. And they may not use it until next week, but when they want to use it, they want to use it right then and there, and they need to get it back very quickly as well. So archive is not necessarily a low performance, low latency environment. It's just a lower cost environment.
Well, again, I think that emphasizes the active part of active archive, that sort of transitional nature of the data. So if somebody wants to find out more about active archive technology, where should they go?
They can go to activearchive.com. That's the Active Archive Alliance website.
This was great. Thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, thanks for joining us and taking me on a drive. It's been fun.